Which role player will step up for the Blue Jays in the ALDS as John Schneider gets his third crack at the postseason? Hey everyone, welcome into another edition of Long Ball. Rob Wong and Toronto Sun Blue Jays writer Rob Longley with you. And Rob, a big reason why the Blue Jays were able to capture the AL East was due to their depth and a lot of the role players stepping up, whether it was guys like David Schneider and Miles Straw or Tyler Heidemann and Nathan Lucas. When you look at some of those players who were sort of the unheralded guys of the season, who do you think needs to have an impact come this weekend when the ALDS starts?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, Rob, when we talk about role players, because basically that's what this team is, right? All season long, they're the guys that have been carrying the freight, or a good chunk of it anyway. Yeah, sure, George Springer's had his moments, and Bo Bichette, when he was healthy, had his moments, but it's been the guys at the bottom of the order, the role players, the step-it-up big guys that have come through. And any combination of them could be key to the Blue Jays having success. In fact, I think they absolutely need to get contributions from these guys, because these are the guys that got them to this place, winning the American League East. I look at some of the power that Nathan Lucas can add. He's certainly shown that explosiveness and is pretty solid defensively with a good arm out in right field when he's out there. So he's a guy that can contribute. David Schneider, whenever he's going to get in, he's certainly been more consistent at the plate that he was last year, and has been a contributor and a guy who can add some power as well, which, as we know, always plays well in the playoffs. Miles Straw has been versatile as a base runner, a guy who can come in for defensive replacement. Even since Dalton Varsho has been back, he's been adding some value to this team, which says a lot about what he can bring. Ernie Clement, I don't know if we call him a role player, but I mean, he can play all over the diamond, and is, he's Mr. Every Day. He's a guy that every baseball team could use, and is probably stepping up above his weight class this year, but has been a real solid performer. So any combination of these guys continuing to contribute is going to be critical for this team, because until the real superstar guys get going, and I don't think we're going to have Bo Bichette anytime soon, and who knows when Vlad Guerrero Jr. is going to come back and start to contribute. So I think it's critical for all of these guys that you mentioned, Rob, to play a factor into the postseason. And yes, Tyler Heinemann, we didn't mention him yet, but as backup catchers go, Buck Martinez once told me that he thinks he's the best backup catcher in the league right now. And he's contributed offensively, but he's really managed some of the pitchers well, and I think he's earned their trust in probably the most significant season of his career thus far.
Yeah, well, look, as you said, they're going to need these guys, even with the star players playing well. They've gotten them to this point where they are getting ready for an ALDS. Meanwhile, manager John Schneider getting ready for another postseason as Blue Jays skipper. Rob, the other two did not go very well. We, of course, all remember the decision to pull a very good Jose Barrios in the fourth inning of the 2023 Wild Card Series against Minnesota. Based on what you've seen from this season, how do you think John Schneider has evolved from where he was a few years ago as manager?
A ton, Rob, and I think John Schneider is one of the most fascinating stories around this baseball team, to be perfectly honest with you. After a 74-win season last year, I think his job was very much on the line, and now he's emerged as a candidate, if not the leading candidate, for American League Manager of the Year. And it hasn't been a fluke. He has told me on a couple of occasions how he has evolved personally as a manager. He recognized that communication is such a big key at the big league level, and dramatically different than it is at the minor league level, where of course he had managed throughout his career. And there was a real reckoning in the off season last year, from front office to coaches, and from coaches to players, and from players to management. It was a big circle, and really a reckoning, really some difficult conversations during the off season to sort of open up the lines of communication on this team. And John Schneider has been central to that. And I think that because of that, he's won the players' trust. I think they believe in their manager, and they know that he has his back. I think the way that he's managed all season, by making sure that everybody on that roster, every single player, has had a chance to contribute, that plays very well in a clubhouse as well. And I think that there's a little bit more trust from management that, yes, certainly decisions will be made from the front office, from the baseball operations department, as it always is in the big leagues now, it seems. But I don't think that they'll be as hard fast as they were 2 years ago when the infamous Jose Barrios situation happened in that ugly elimination. And I think that John Schneider certainly listens to and takes into account what the front office instructs him to do. But he not only has license to make his own decisions, but he's willing to trust his gut. And I think when he does that, I think it allows him to manage a little bit more freely and do a better job in that regard. And perhaps more importantly, win the trust of all of his players. So yeah, he's evolved dramatically. And I think that, people love to crap on managers all the time. Cito Gaston was winning World Series and Toronto fans wanted him gone. So he's the guy who's always going to be the lightning rod, but I think he handles that better, and I think he's a better decision maker than he's ever been in the big leagues anyway.
Well, safe to say the approval rating for John Schneider has gone way up compared to where it was at the beginning of the season. But as we've seen so far in this postseason, managers are getting second-guessed left and right. So I imagine there's going to be a lot of that. But we'll see what happens come Saturday for Game 1 of the ALDS. As always, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. For Rob Longley, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.